Hi guys, this video this week is about connections with your area with regards to your practice and your craft. For me, this topic I would say is more highly connected in with my ancestors, but also rewilding. When I first started my practice, I did more buying things online. I think it's very, very common and quite natural for a lot of people when they start out in their practice to want to buy all the trinkets and tools and everything else. Obviously, that's completely cool if that is what you want to do. But for me, as time has moved forward, as I've settled into my practice and my path, I have found that I'm pulling further and further and further away from that and pulling and moving closer and closer towards rewilding, wild gathering, living off the land with regards to as much as I can, and also with regards to what I wild gather for my practice. So that is for offerings, that is for altar decoration, that is for putting in incense blends, etc., etc. I have also noticed that I am really homing in into doing a lot more very nature-based, very outdoorsy rituals. Now, I can't get out and about as much as I'd like to do certain things like that, but I have made a conscious effort, particularly this last while, to go up to the moorland area in the forest at the back of my house and do my weight of the wind ritual, which is almost like a cleansing, removing all the ick type of ritual, at least on a weekly basis, as I find that that helps me with my practice. It helps keep me grounded. It helps me to stop getting so emotionally backed up or funked up because there's a lot going on at the moment with our current housing situation. So that's one part of it. The second part of it, like I say, is a wild harvest for offerings, for bits and pieces for my altars, sacred spaces, etc. And obviously I did that a little bit at the start of my practice, but not as much as I do now. And I am really trying to pull away from buying stuff that I can find in my garden, front or back, in the forest at the back of me, in the woodlands, the moorlands surrounding me, and local water sources such as the Firth of Forth and a couple of local streams around here where I can get still water, I can get running water depending on what I am doing magically. I also like to have seawater on my sacred spaces, but very particularly in connection with my ancestor space, because my family are very, very, very much connected with the sea, very much connected with the ocean. A lot of my family were fisher folk, and that goes back to quite some time. I can't remember exactly, but it goes quite far back. For me, when I was growing up in Ferryden, I was very, very connected with the sea and very connected with what was around me, and it was a bit of a black sheep kind of because of it, because I didn't want to go and do some of the things that other kids were doing. I liked to walk along the Lighthouse Road with my notebook and write wee stories and see bugs and animals and write wee stories about them, give them names, and had stories based around what they were doing. That was me. I was a bit of a quirky kid. And that should have been the sign of things to come. I always had my feet in the sea or in a rock pool or in a river. I loved sitting by the sea or by a river and watching the world go by. Loved the sound of the water, loved the sound of the sea, and just really, really enjoyed those times. With regards to my ancestors, now some of my ancestors are highly associated with an area quite close to me, probably about an hour from here, maybe slightly more, Fife Pit and Wee Manstrother, and I have a family there, and particularly associated on my mum's side. In my immediate area, it's very highly associated in connection with the Scottish witch trials. The Calder witches are a big thing where I live. I don't live in Mid-Calder, which is where they are primarily associated in connection with regards to execution site and where they met their fate, so to speak. I live a bit further semi-rural on the outskirts of the town, going towards the outskirts of the town. But it only takes me 10 or 15 minutes to get there by car, and it's an interesting place to visit. I'm going to do a series on all the things associated with the witch trials in this specific area, but potentially where I grew up as well. Once I get more information, I want to make sure that things have accuracy and as much fact as is possible to gain before I start going into that more in depthly. So where I am right now, like I say, I have already done one video on my own channel pertaining to the Calder witches. So I show you the cuck that was associated with their downfall, and also the execution site, one of, where 6 individuals actually had their lives taken from them. So with regards to that, that is what I am associating with in connection with the area I'm in, and obviously my ancestors. There is a lot of connections in with the Shetland Isles on my family side, on my mum's side. Also, like I've said, Fife, Pittenweem and Anstruther, and also one of the other islands in Scotland. I'm not quite sure which island that is yet, and I'm still trying to figure that out, what other island is associated. And when I find out more information, I would love to be able to share that. I have also strangely had a real strong connection with the Isle of Tiree, and I've never been there, and that came about when the kayak Scottish version, I guess, of her came to the forefront, and I started my relationship with her alongside Morrigan. Now, basically, some stuff came to the forefront with regards to the Isle of Tiree. It kept coming up over and over again. And in a dream, I was standing at the banks, or like coming down from a cottage, and I was overlooking the water. And I always thought that I was looking from the island to mainland Scotland. But a friend of mine said, maybe you're looking at what used to be old mainland Scotland, looking out towards the island that you're talking about. Or another thing could be that you are looking from one island onto another island. Who's to say? I don't know. All I know is I would really love at some point to go to the Isle of Tiree and figure out what, if any, connections are there. Why do I have such a strong pull to the place and such a strong draw to the place? I don't know, and that is what I would like to find out. Another thing as well is I am really trying very hard to get back to basics. Like I've said at the beginning of this video, rewilding, reharvesting, sowing and growing from the land. I have some edibles I'm growing, some things I've grown before, some things I'm trying new, some things have already worked and are now fruiting, like tomatoes and courgettes, and some have been not so successful. Also, wild gathering, seed bombing and wild gardening. I am to be doing an induction day on the 27th of this month to start volunteering at a local food bank. Now, I've had to use this food bank myself in the past, and they were amazing with my son Ali, who is got quite severe autism, sensory processing disorder, learning disabilities, and other things that make what he eats particularly specific, and he can be a very fatty eater, not because he's fussy, but because of sensory issues and because of his autism. and they were amazing at helping find things that he would eat and enjoy when I had to use the food bank. So I think that that is an amazing thing.